But you know what, guys, at 38, it's really nice when I see my other friends, guys I went to high school with, who only have sex once a week. I have sex twice a day. I get the fringe benefits of having great energy, having a great sex drive, having sex twice, sometimes 3 times every day. All right, I'm really not trying to attract women right now because I'm kind of seeing someone a bit. I've actually been turning women away. And on top of that, I'm not really interested in what women think because I'm in a happy monogamous relationship with a girl that I'm in love with who has sex with me every single day. By the time you get to Mic's age, and certainly by the time they get to my age, probably at least half of guys out there have probably had at least one threesome with 2 girls. In today's age, that's not uncommon. I'm not putting a moral judgment on it. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong or not. I'm just saying that's the reality of the world that we live in. Is it something I'm interested in doing and as I've gotten older? No. Is it something I've done in the past? Yeah. And kind of brings me to another point with that. You know, I've had an ex who was very much into other girls, but I didn't make it everyone's business. I didn't run around telling everyone. I certainly didn't put our names up on social media and throw up photos of us doing stuff together with other girls. Now, there are some of the trolls have sent me messages claiming they do have a copy of a sex tape with her, I, and one of her female friends, but that remains to be seen as to whether they really got a copy or not.
Tell them about how we got together and how you took me seriously and everything.
Okay, Brittany wants me to chime in here and let you guys know. For example, when Brittany and I got together, we got together and no, we didn't have sex immediately. I know that's going to sound funny to a lot of people because, again, everyone has views of us. But we actually were introduced by another friend who I was dating casually, who thought we'd be a good match, and she hooked us up. And no, I slept in her bed fully clothed, cuddling her for 2 weeks before we even locked into a relationship or anything. Like, no clothes came off or anything. We took our time with that. But when a guy treats you a certain way, he's not taking you seriously. And guys, by that same token, you need to understand that if you're considering anything serious or long-term with a chick and it's more than just fun, you don't treat them like that. You don't treat them like that at all. You don't disrespect them in public that way. My girlfriend needs dick twice a day from me. Of course, I'm going to get asked on stuff like this because I do know a lot about beating and drug testing in sports, and it's something I used to do for money, was help athletes do this. Like, at one time I was working with up to a dozen university athletes who were subject to random testing and getting them through it. I used to manufacture anabolics and other drugs that I used to actually sell to some of the Texas A&M football team, and I used to help them pass their drug tests. They used to pay me to help them pass their drug tests, students at that university. I'm a grown man. I've been in this game for a very, very long time. I've worked with randomly tested athletes who undergo far more stringent tests than anybody in the natural bodybuilding world has ever undergone. Because of my own life experiences going back to this stuff 2 decades, someone who's even helped college athletes pass their drug tests. I mean, I've helped guys beat drug tests at the university level. I know plenty of guys who've done it at higher up levels I've talked to, and there's a whole industry around it. Yes, I have run an anabolic steroid lab. And yes, I have been paid by athletes to help them through random testing at the university level quite a bit. Actually, over a dozen different athletes paid me to help them with that, who undergo more stringent testing than most of these drug-tested powerlifters do. The fact that we know Saudi Arabia is responsible for 9/11, we've known since 9/11. We know it was paid for by Saudi royal family members. And you know, the thing is, it's really troubling. Why does anyone even think the U.S. government or the Israelis or anyone else are responsible? Because of the online conspiracy movement. Well, I've seen the money trail personally, and I've known someone who hands out money for people within the conspiracy movement online, someone who actually pays people, and I'm going to stay out of that, and he was Saudi Arabian. You know, it's interesting that they pump money into the online conspiracy movement, and I know that for an absolute fact. I know that for a fact from personal experience that they do, and conversations I've had with various people involved in that. All right, the truth is, yes, I have been a paid conspiracy fiction writer on the internet in the past under a pseudonym because I have some unique life experiences, some unique knowledge and understanding of world history, ancient history, things like that. Very well read. And I discussed with them an idea of going online for them under a pseudonym and writing fictional material to help them with their book sales. And it grew for a while, and I did that for a while, and I was a paid fiction writer on the internet. A lot of us who know world history, who've read battle strategies all through history, see what happens in other countries, those of us who are worldly and knowledgeable. Because I'm not an ignorant redneck from Texas, I am extremely well read. I have traveled the world. I have lived around the world. I've spoken to people and met with people in person from countless cultures around the world. I've read history for many, many years, thousands and thousands of pages of history and military strategy, going all the way back and looking even at the strategies from the Crusades and the other previous jihads. Anyone who's well-read and knowledgeable knows what's going on. It doesn't require you to be ignorant, and I'm not just some ignorant Texas redneck. Again, I am worldly. I've read the entire Satanic Bible cover to cover. All right, I've had a big corporate job. A number of years ago, back when I first started getting sick with my Meniere's disease, I realized I was possibly going to reach a point to where I might not be able to do normal work again. Definitely wouldn't be able to do work abroad, might not be able to keep my corporate job. Because this is interesting, and I was reminded of this because an actor I was chatting with a while back, and yeah, that's kind of what we do when I'm not on YouTube. One of the things that my girlfriend does is she works in the film industry. And so we talk to actors and actresses. I was known in the past for very heavily editing my videos, me sitting down and making a 10-minute video or a 15-minute video and then chopping it down to 3 minutes. You guys saw all the heavy edits? That's actually what that was. I've done that for a very long time. A lot of people noticed it. And I felt like, to me, that was an enormous amount of work. Why sit here and film for 15 minutes to make a 3-minute video or 4-minute video and then have to edit it and say things 3 or 4 different ways and rethink how I want to say it because then I get all focused on it. And I felt like it hurt the quality of my content and my production value. Sorry, I got interrupted by a phone call in the middle of filming. Which, again, guys, this is one of the reasons you see so many cuts. My phone rings and I have so much noise outside where I live. That's another reason I have to cut these videos all the time. I will sometimes have 5 or 6 different horn honks from a car outside that I have to clip out in a single 4-minute video. As you guys notice, I'm in a new place. There's a reason I didn't make videos yesterday, just moved again. I might make a video discussing some of that in the move. One of the reasons I needed to deload, just dealing with the stress of a lot of things. Long story short, the rental agreement that we had made for where I was living at the time, the landlord did not keep their end of the agreement. And it just wasn't a good business situation, so I moved into a new place. I had just moved into a place that I thought I was going to be renting a house for a year. The landlord, I'm not going to get into his personal life, but, you know, when people try to treat their PTSD with street drugs and alcohol, it doesn't always work out well. And we had some major issues. House we were renting, other people started getting moved in without us being consulted about it to rent rooms and things like that. And we had to just get out of there. But the reality is, you guys need to understand that it is a business owner's right to do business with whom they please. For example, when I lived in the UK, back when I trained at a powerlifter gym that was owned by an IPF powerlifter, when he found out that I had made a YouTube video saying that I don't have any problem with athletes using drugs in sports, it doesn't bother me, I don't see a moral issue with it. That's just them competing. That's the reality we live in. And if they unbanned drugs in sports, that I wouldn't have any problem whatsoever with it. Me making that statement caused him to say that he didn't want a person like me training at his gym, that he felt it was bad for his gym and he didn't want someone who was okay with drugs in sports training at his gym. He met me at the front door of it. He handed me my entire month's payment back. I'd used about a week of it up for that particular month, and he canceled my contract. And you know what? Rather than be a dick about it, I looked him in the eyes and said, I'm very disappointed, and while I disagree with your viewpoints here, I respect your right as a business owner to decide who you want to do business with. And so I'm not going to have a problem with that. And I looked him in the eyes and I shook his hand. I think that surprised him a little bit. If all of you want to know how you can help put the juggernaut in a Benz, just check the annotations here in this video, or go to my Facebook fan page, which is down below, or Twitter, or just check out any of the social media of the other big YouTubers because it's been spread everywhere. And you guys probably realized by now that GoFundMe was just a publicity stunt. I was already being offered quite a good deal on a used Mercedes-Benz by my sister, which I purchased from her today. And truth be told, that was really just something I did for fun. It was something my sister kind of came up with and thought it would be really funny for me to do when she was selling me the car, so we did it just for the fun of it. The GoFundMe with the Mercedes-Benz, guys, I can afford the Benz now. It was just a fun publicity stunt, and it worked. It worked. It went viral everywhere, and all these people smack talked me, and all it did was increase my outreach, and it was a fun, funny thing to do. I enjoy doing it just for fun, and it increased my outreach everywhere. And that's okay. It's okay to be lazy, just don't pretend like you're not. Be honest with yourself about your work ethic on something. There are things that I don't enjoy doing, that I am lazy at. Like gardening. I hate fucking gardening.
What did you want to be when you were a kid growing up?
Yeah, we've covered this one before. A school teacher. I wanted to be a school teacher.
Yep. What kind of school teacher?
I didn't know. I kind of went back and forth on a few different ones. I thought about teaching biology or, even a health course. But I thought about being something like a biology teacher. And my father completely shot it down when I was younger. He said, no, that's not going to work. There's no money that you spend a fortune on school and you'll never make the money back. And no son of mine is going to do that. Instead of putting in the work, because it's not going to get you anywhere. Just like you don't see me pretending that I want an amazing rose garden out on my balcony. Why? Because I hate doing it, and I'm too lazy to do something that I hate doing. So don't lie to yourself like that. Honestly, my mother wanted me to be a medical doctor. And to me, the idea of doing a full pre-med, full medical school internships and being locked into something like that just seemed so tedious to me that I really wasn't interested because of that. In terms of the actual interest in it, yes, I could have been a medical doctor. Yes, I'm intelligent enough. Yes, my mother actually wanted me to become one. Also interesting, I recall in a psychology class I was taking many, many years ago, when the professor was asking the men in the class what they thought the research would say that women noticed first on a man's body, what part of his body they noticed first. And the guys gave the typical guesses. Guys were like, oh, the arms, the biceps, and another was like the chest. And the professor said, no, you're all wrong. Any of you know what it was? This was data conducted 15 years ago, and the number one listed body part, or part of a man's body that women noticed first in terms of sexual attractiveness, it was their butt. This is a YouTube channel. I'm not writing any more research papers for professors. I don't cite my fucking sources. I grew up doing charity work at Christmas. My family believed in that. We worked at soup kitchens. We wrapped presents for underprivileged children. That was the kind of thing that my mom made us do before we could open our Christmas presents. That we had to go wrap presents for people who didn't have anything so that we'd be appreciative of what we had. And that was just part of how we were raised and growing up. I've done tons of blood donations for like the MD Anderson Children's Cancer Research Center, things like that. But because he's got neck tattoos and things, where I live, that represents that you're either a gang member, a member of a drug cartel, or that you're like a heroin junkie or that you smoke crack or something like that. I can't be publicly associated with people who look like that because I'm trying to do business stuff in the long term where I'm going to need class 3 licenses, FFLs, things like that. I can't really associate with a criminal element like that or be seen in public with them. And I'm not going to lie, my girl does have a criminal record. Over a decade ago, she did get a deferred felony for distribution of a controlled substance, and in that case it happened to be cocaine. Yes, my girl danced a bit while she was in grad school. Now, inside the grocery store, probably not that big of a deal. Yes, I have been in a grocery store while growing up that was robbed while I was there, but the jackass had a knife and they ended up actually tackling him, and a cashier, a really big woman, sat on top of him, which was really amusing, but it was definitely a sight to see. I'll never forget that. But that did happen. I've seen plenty of it in my life. I have, again, been around corporate executives and things a few times in my life at the golf course, and this sort of behavior is normal for them. In fact, I'll give you guys a perfect example before I close this down. I played golf with some well into 6-figure salary corporate executives with my dad before. And the rule they had When you drive the ball out of the men's tee box on the golf course, if it doesn't pass the women's tee box, you have to play the rest of the round with your penis hanging out to prove that you're a man. Now, I did that when I was a teenager. I wasn't even legally an adult, but I had to follow the rules. Because that's the rules, had to prove you're a man. You had to play with your penis out. Because you couldn't hit the ball past the woman's tee box. And there's always crazy rumors going on out there about me. Some of it's just shocking to me, the things that I see, and I'm just like, wow, this is insane. This is apeshit fucking nuts. A lot of it blows my mind. A lot of misconceptions out there. And how much money am I making doing all of this if you take everything from my combined YouTube incomes, because I've got a couple of different channels. I have 2 different affiliates. I've got a Tiger Fitness affiliate. I have an Amazon affiliate right now. I'm also writing 1 article per month, which takes me a couple hours for Tiger Fitness. What's my predicted income? For this year is probably going to be conservatively, on my taxes this year, $35,000. It could be 40 or more depending on how the later part of the year goes, because I'm going to get some additional promotion in here as a result of other outreach, and so if that pans out, it could go over 40. And yeah, at the rate I'm going with this, sure, off the fitness end, I'll probably end up making $100,000 a year eventually. And of course, I've got my other tactical channel going. I'm going into a tactical company with friends of mine, and that's another niche market that I'm going to be using this to expand upon and to grow the outreach on that slowly. And we're going to be doing gun shows and all sorts of things there, and that's going to build up into a legitimate part-time business on top of it. And you know, maybe in the long term that'll make $100,000 a year. If we're cranking out people, individuals by the millions from high schools who do not have the ability to be productive members of society, I would say that that is a catastrophic failure of an education system, and it's time to scrap the whole thing and rethink what we're doing and start over, because we clearly have screwed it up. If we're producing millions of people who have no ability to be productive members of society, we have squandered our money, and we've squandered 12 to 13 years of the lifetimes of most of these students. And all things considered, this will be kind of an interesting video, considering I'm sitting here actually doing a very technical skill here. I'm reloading ammunition. And he's such a loser. Oh, he's this fat autistic virgin, which is really funny because people who know me in real life will laugh at that. I'm actually really, really social in person, and I'm by no means a virgin. And for those asking, I'm not on welfare. I make way too much money. I don't qualify for any sort of welfare anywhere in the world. I have 4 different W-7 and 1044s filed with the IRS. Believe me, I don't qualify for anything. And we're producing students who can do nothing but pass a standardized test that have no skills. They can't weld. They can't change the oil in their car. They can't rebuild a basic car engine. To me, that's shocking. As someone who grew up in a different environment, the fact that there are 18-year-old young men who couldn't rebuild a simple lawnmower engine if they had to, I find that shocking. I didn't have any friends who couldn't do that when I was younger. All my friends, we messed with stuff like that. We built car engines. We loaded ammo. We made our own ammunition. We did things like that. So I didn't actually know other boys who couldn't do those things when I was younger. Just throwing that out there, at least among my circles of friends. So it's kind of shocking that they can't do these basic things. They don't know how to weld. None of them can do basic electronics. But they don't have college degrees either. What good are these people going to be to society? We are wasting trillions of dollars educating people who can't do shit. They're worthless to society. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would just relax, work on my little arts and crafts here, and I will make a video soon. A few people keep asking me things about why I do these videos like this. A lot of people enjoy them, a few people don't. I'll cover that later, probably worthy of its own video. It was partially from advice I got from a PR expert. What am I doing here with this stuff? Why do I do it? What's my motive behind it? What message am I trying to convey? So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of my crafting, and let's talk about it. Part of it is a unique stick. It's a unique stick. And when I do this, it reminds me of my grandfather. And to me, that's very relaxing, because when I do this and I hand load, I'm getting teary-eyed. I think of someone, my grandfather, who I looked up to and I loved tremendously, who treated me like a son. And sorry, I'm getting teary-eyed. It puts me in a happy place. I feel like Bob Ross painting his happy little trees on camera while talking. because for me, this is therapeutic. And for Bob Ross, painting was therapeutic. A lot of people didn't know that about him. Bob Ross was actually a drill instructor in the military. You wouldn't think that with the way that he was just his happy little trees thing that sells, gunpowder and primers and brass and reloading equipment. It's just right there down the street. This is part of my culture. And what it is for me, that would be no different than if you had a British guy who got up and talked every day while making his tea and drinking his tea. Who was very, very British. I'm very Texan. All right, a lot of people aren't aware that I haven't been doing training footage lately, and it's not because of anything conspiracy or crazy or anything else like I'm hiding that I'm in a wheelchair. Apparently a lot of people thought that we were faking it and I'm sitting down in the gym because I'm in a wheelchair, but that's not the case. I'm clearly up and able to lift heavy weight for reps and Pendlay rows and everything else. I'm clearly up and mobile and still plenty strong by most people's standards. Now, people always ask me things like, Jason, why do you do all this crafting and busy work on camera? Well, one, I find it relaxing, and two, it sure has made it impossible for people to chop and screw my videos and make me say things I didn't say, hasn't it, for all you guys who watch these, who do that stuff? You guys having fun with that? Trying to make me say things I didn't say? A little harder now, isn't it? Have fun with that. Have you seen the things that people write about me on the internet and say about me all day? Have you watched the hundreds of videos that are out there that go through great efforts to humiliate me, some of which have gotten over 100,000 views? Do you read the insane shit people write about me every day on the internet? Do you honestly think, no, seriously, do you honestly think there's anything that you could do that would humiliate me? That there's like literally anything that you could say or do that would cause me embarrassment or humiliate me at this point? Do you think there's anything anybody could say online at this point about me after all the shit that people have said that would cause me a single drop of embarrassment or humiliation? I'm so fucking far beyond that I don't care. You want to post my dick pictures? Go ahead. I don't fucking care. I mean, what are you going to do to humiliate me at this point? I've been accused of literally so much crazy, embarrassing type, insane shit all day long by so many people online that literally I am completely above embarrassment at this point. Like literally there is nothing that you could say that would embarrass me in any way. Like nothing at all. Like I'm so used to people saying stuff all day that I just laugh at this point. It's fucking crazy. Just read some of it. Read some of it. My God. Like, I don't think that you can come up with anything better than what people have already put out. Like, it's all been done already. I don't think there's anything left. I spawned a whole economy of people who make probably $1,000 or more a month on their YouTube channels talking about me. That's all they do. It's like, dude, seriously. Now, the other thing I would ask too, if you're older as well, out of high school, and you have all these body composition and muscle gaining goals, and you're still living with your mom, because it's one thing if it's occasional your mom cooks you a meal, that's fine. But if you're still living with your mom and that's why she's cooking meals for you, I might want to suggest to you that you reevaluate your life goals a little bit. It sounds like you've got more important things on your table that you need to worry about than getting your ideal body composition down. I started my original weight loss journey when I was 19, and it ended after I was well over 20. I lived with my mother at the time, and a lot of people laugh about that. My family had a lot of money. Believe me, they had plenty of spare bedrooms. This is not an issue. It's not like I didn't have privacy. when you live with your family but they own several houses. All right. And by the way, I'm going to note, a few people will come in here and comment, but you live with your sister, your mom, or whatever. No, I haven't. I don't know where any of that came out. Just because Michael Hearn said that, there's no truth to it. I haven't lived with any members of my family in many, many, many years. So I don't know where that weird idea came from. Most people who know me are kind of like, I'm a very intense person, and it's not that I'm not empathic, or all the people on the internet who perceive me a different way. I'm not autistic or anything ridiculous like that, but I am a very intense person. However, I do have that intimidation factor, and I do come across, especially a lot of other guys, as very intimidating. I have a presence when I come in a room, and that's been told to me by quite a few people, that I'm a very intimidating person, and I'm very scary in some ways, and I have to try to keep that reeled in. But yeah, Jerry, this is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of pathetic on your part, but you know what, man? Make all the money you want off of it. But if I decide that it's my money that you earned, I don't want to hear any crying when I come to collect it. It's just business, nothing personal. But on a side note, you better not ever mention my mother again, you son of a bitch. That is personal. That's not business. I'm going to be nice and give you a warning on that one. And maybe you did that by accident, another one of your heroin and drug-induced hazes, because you have admitted publicly to being a heroin addict. And you know what? Once an addict, always an addict. And if you're an addict, that's a weakness that can be exploited. Remember that. You know, that's what you expect on the internet. Guys, people on the internet are, for the most part, a bunch of big pussies who like to sit back at a distance and harass people. And, you know, they stalk people, and they even tend to do things to them at their homes and everything, their intended victims, from a distance. But you know what? They're big pussies who are scared to actually confront anybody for the most part. But people like the anonymity of the internet. They like to be able to sit behind the internet and attack people, oftentimes with their face, with their name, with their identity hidden, knowing that they're safe. Because that's the world we live in today, unfortunately. The internet brings out the worst in a lot of us, particularly very cowardly people who just want to feel important, they want to feel big. But yeah, I do have this very scary, intimidating streak to me that comes out, and some of it has to do with my perspective, my actual life perspective when it comes to dealing with people who I see as any sort of threat to me or anyone I care about is pretty extreme by most standards. And yeah, people pick up on that. And so certain people, even just private conversations I've had with them, probably think I'm a little crazy, a little bit scary. And I can definitely see from conversations I had with Candido as to why he might have that perspective. And this comes back to kind of the point I always make about the amount of posturing and guys who really want to pretend to be tough guys in this industry when they really aren't. And they're always issuing these physical challenges. And this is the second time this has happened with Mike O'Hearn. I'm not going to go into the behind the scenes what happened, but you guys will notice that Mike was talking about, oh, he's going to come to my gym and run me out of my gym. He's going to do a seminar at my gym because I wouldn't accept his silly ass little challenge. And then he said he was going to slap me. Not going to go into the details of it. He was talked to by other people, and you notice Mike hasn't said my name since, nor said anything about coming to my gym. Because quite frankly, I'm just not interested in being a tough guy or proving that I'm a tough guy. If someone becomes a threat to me or people that I love, I make them go away. And I'll just tell you straight up. Anyone approaches my girl and hits on them, they might disappear. I'm just going to leave that out there. I don't know what happened to you. If someone becomes a threat to you, whether it's a physical threat, then they have to die. No question about it. You do everything you can to take them down. I don't even want my worst enemies to die of cancer or to have diabetes, because I've seen people die from those things. Me personally, when anyone is my enemy, I don't like them. Do I wish them harm? I wish they get Ebola. I hope every person who is my enemy out there, I hope they get Ebola. And before I go to bed at night, I pray to Nurgle, the Lord of Roth, that he infects every person who has made themselves my enemy with fucking Ebola. I deadlift over 600 pounds. You think I can't kill you with my bare hands? Think about it. I do come across as the tough guy, the alpha male. Oh, people complain about me wearing comic book shirts. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I'm going to slightly upgrade your wardrobe as we go along here.
Okay. Comic books don't put you off?
As long as you let me dye your beard.
But a semi-male version, I guess. He's kind of, I don't know, ambiguous a little bit with all the eyebrow plucking and all that shit. Okay. She's going to dye my beard. That's the next project. She just did my eyebrows. She's a stylist, by the way.
No sexy eyebrows right there. Woo! That's right, ladies. He's taken.
And a lot of you guys do know that I am a super nerd in addition to a number of other things. You know what? When you're a boy, your ego rules you. When you're a man, you rule your own ego. Quite a few people have asked me and linked to me the whole Lyle McDonald thing of Lyle McDonald talking about his book where he walks in two worlds, and people want my opinion on all of this, and people are acting like this is a big deal and a big scandal, or a few people are. And I'm sorry, but to me this is laughable. Now, I think it's fine if Lyle wants to write a book about this. That's his prerogative, selling points. But to call this stuff a dark side, managing a strip club, working in the porn industry, having sex with strippers, that's really your view of a dark side. That's mostly legal stuff. Anybody who thinks that that is a dark side has led a very, very sheltered life. The majority of people who have a dark side, a real dark side, are not going to talk about it on a video or in a book because they will go to prison or they will get assassinated. That is not a dark side. That's Mickey Mouse kitty shit. But if you guys find that sort of thing interesting, then by all means check it out.